What's up, CHFFL? I'm here today in the CH. Took a short vacation for the 4th of July and figured I'd get to some of these videos I've been promising but not delivering. And today we have one more theory kind of video with keeper choices and draft pick value and outlooks before I get to this year's actual outlooks. And what we're going to try and do is get a mathematical formula for deciding how valuable a certain draft pick is, be it first overall, 12th, 50th, and then I'm going to take it one step farther and apply that to making your keeper choice. So I set out to do this, and first I looked to see if anybody else already had, and luckily there's an article on theringer.com in 2017 that did the mathematical evaluation of each pick before I did. I'm going to put the link to that article in the description of this on YouTube and on our Discord. That article was looking just for trading draft picks, like if you got an offer, my 5 and 10th for your 6th and 7th, and wanted to determine if that was a good value for each side. They didn't look at keepers for a keeper league like ours. What they did was they compared for a 10-year sample from 2007 to 2017 average draft position of players versus what their value-based drafting, VBD, which compares their season performance to what a baseline player would have done. So for 10 years, they looked at the number one pick, how well they did compared to a baseline player, added it all up, and then plotted it out. So you see this logarithmic decay, which is kind of what I expected it to be, where the first overall is very valuable year to year, averaged out, goes down second, has a big drop off, and the drop offs are very big and get smaller as you go. By the time you're in the 5th, 6th round, the value of each pick is a lot closer year to year and on average. I took that curve from that line and put it to a mathematical formula. I'm sure the guy who wrote it did too, he just didn't include it in the article. So the value of each pick is, you can plug in where it says pick here and get a number. I would like to have more data than that article has just because I want the last 3 years. I think 10 years is a plenty good sample size, but I want to see if the league has changed a little bit. Tiers are not reflected. I want to note that because every year there's going to be a drop-off. So when we do our picking of the draft order, which we did for the first time this year, you have to take into account that you may think there's a drop-off after, say, the 6th pick, and that way the 7th isn't necessarily that valuable because you get a higher pick in the 2nd round. And of course, this value does not account for keeper value shift. That would be too complicated for me to do, but just know that once you get down in the 5th and 6th round, you know the picks are less valuable in our league because of all the keepers that have been taken out of the equation. I wanted to look at draft slots, what the actual difference in value is, and it's pretty significant before you even start thinking about keepers. The difference in these units are meaningless, but the difference between being first overall and 12th overall is about 17% in terms of value, what value-based drafting number you're supposed to get. I don't think I've been accounting for that enough in my previews the past couple of years. Now, moving on, I took this idea of each pick has a certain value and applied it to keeper selections and keeper values too. And you probably can know where this is going to go, but I think it's very helpful. So I saw this post on Reddit. I'm in a keeper league and I can keep one of these guys as my keeper. Who do I go with? I think there's a really common question, and I hear people in our league talking about it. I'm ignoring Tom Brady in the 10th here, but Chris Godwin in the 5th or DK Metcalf in the 14th. And it sounds pretty close. Chris Godwin is a top of the 2nd round guy, but you have to give up a 5th round pick to keep him. DK Metcalf's more like a 5th round guy, but a 14th draft pick is nothing. So which one's actually better? Well, I told the guy you can do a mathematical estimate of it, assuming that you're in a half PPR 10-team standard league and you're in the middle of the draft slot. I gave him these estimates. I use Fantasy Pros ECR like I do for us. Chris Godwin is ranked 14th overall, so I used that as his draft pick to get a mathematical value. Same for the 5th round pick, DK Metcalf, and the 14th round pick. So the question you're asking when you're deciding which of these guys do I keep is, would I rather have Chris Godwin and the 14th round pick, or DK Metcalf and the 5th round pick. If I got that trade offer, which side would I prefer to be on? So I added up Godwin in the 14th, and I added up Metcalf in the 5th, and you see that Godwin is more valuable, which would have been my guess beforehand because of what I said earlier. Higher picks have more value, exponentially more so than later round picks. So I think that can be helpful, and if you'd like any help applying that to your keeper situation, let me know. But I went ahead and applied it to my 2019 outlooks, because remember, I was not happy with how inaccurate my grades were. I just, for each team, added up all the picks they had, and then like I just did for Godwin and Metcalf, I put their rank into the formula for who the teams would be keeping. And I have here the chart of what the actual final rank, based on season points, not on final position, is, what rank I gave them before the season, and what rank this mathematic formula would give them. And you can see the formula would have gotten Swan a lot better than I did. They had him 3rd overall, but they still would have had Wes number 1 like me. They would have had Marty number 12 like me. And they missed on some. Specifically, look at Minnie. He finished 10th in points. I gave him a 10th ranking before the season, and the value calc had him at 6th. So it got some wrong. Overall, though, the machine did a little bit better than me. If you plot this out, you see red is the blue are my picks, and the yellow are what the calculation would be. The R-squared value for the machine is a little bit better than mine. So takeaways from this is that this new value calculation thing is, I think, useful, and I'm going to take it into account for my previews this year. It beat my eye test last year, so I want to see if it'll do it again, but I'm still going to go with my gut a little bit. It's definitely useful, I think, if you're in between two keepers and you need to choose which one to take. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed this topic. I hope it wasn't too long. I'll get to the actual outlooks next, hopefully very soon. So, thanks for watching.